All of this starts with the understanding that cities cannot raise or borrow money in the same manner as the other governments. We are not allowed to run a deficit, and I'm fine with that. But then, when we need help, when a pandemic devastates our transit ridership, for example, and the revenues disappear that went with that ridership, then that is the principal reason we're in the position we're in, and we are looking for continued partnership with the other governments. In the briefing note, our city staff warn that if COVID-19 funding from other governments is not forthcoming in such a way as to allow us to fully address the financial impacts arising from the pandemic, the city would have to, first, cancel $300 million in planned capital projects in 2022. This would be spread across a variety of capital budgets, but would have an impact on TTC work, transportation services, parks, forestry, and recreation state of good repair projects. Second, the city would have to pause more than $1 billion in capital funding that would go to state of good repair projects. This would have a devastating impact on the work that we are doing to invest in infrastructure, to invest in a state of good repair. Many of these things that have been postponed for years and that are much needed to have a healthy and growing city. And it would also have a very definite impact on jobs, thousands of jobs which would be impacted by any decision to cancel or postpone these projects. As the budget briefing note outlines, an increase in public infrastructure spending on things like non-residential building construction, engineering construction, capital outlays on machinery and equipment, these investments generate a mid-range estimate of roughly 9 jobs for every $1 million of expenditure. So the 2022 one-time reduction in capital expenditures and funding intended for capital infrastructure, if we had to impose that kind of reduction, would therefore have a serious impact on job growth, with $1.4 billion in reduced capital impacting potentially 12,600 jobs, negatively impacting the Toronto, Ontario, and Canada economies, all three of those economies. They're all, of course, interlinked. That is why support delivered in a timely manner is so important to our city and to its economic future and to its ability to move forward and lead the way when it comes to a strong recovery for Toronto, but also for all of Canada.
This is City News Everywhere.